2 seconds, please. Okay, now, please. 2 seconds, please.
Okay. So, thank you very much to everyone and welcome to this session. We are indeed starting this workshop, Learning Together, Introduction to Intercultural Dialogue during the COVID-19 crisis. This is a workshop led within the virtual marathon event organized by the Annalyn Foundation and is led by the Swedish Center for Capacity Building and Empowerment organization. So we thank them for organizing this event. And through System and Generation, we are collaborating in this workshop. So we can start. We prepare a very nice session. It will last 1 hour, a bit more than 1 hour. And first of all, we may start with introducing each other for the first 10-15 minutes. And also, as we will speak about intercultural dialogue, we will speak about stereotypes, prejudices, and so on. As a kind of energizer, I would like to ask to each of you, after introducing yourself, so stating your name, where you're connected, what you're doing, and so on, what is the most common stereotype linked to your nationality? Okay, so the ones that maybe you heard more often from other people that are not from the same nationality as you are. So if you are a Spaniard traveling somewhere else, what is the main stereotype about Spaniards that you heard, and so on. Okay, so we may start with maybe Asif, the host of this event. Welcome, Asif.
Hello. Thank you, Jacobo. My name is Asif Khan, and I am project leader of Center for Capacity Building and Empowerment. This project was approved through Annalyn Foundation virtual funds, and we Center for Capacity Building and Empowerment, System and Generation from Turkey, and a partner from Spain. I'm forgetting because the name is in Spanish, so I just remember the Patricia, if you can help me. Yes, Patricia, how to pronounce your organization name? Sorry. Patricia.
Yes, sorry.
Yes, how to pronounce your organization in Spanish? Sorry.
My organization is, bueno, actually you can say IFED.
IFED, yes.
Yes, but it's Asociación de Innovación, Formación y Empleo para el Desarrollo Sostenible. But IFED is okay.
Yeah, IFED, yeah. So we will not go into the detail in the details. And IFED is the third partner organization in the project, and it is about intercultural dialogue. So how we are coping up with the situation. Stereotypes in Sweden, I would start with, is that there are different kind of stereotypes, especially for those who are new to the society, or acceptability of different kind of situations. So there is one stereotype about the food, and there is the fish which people eat raw. And I would say that is a cultural stereotype for a lot of nations who are living in the city where I am from. It is called Malmo. And in Malmo, I notice it a lot that a lot of people cannot eat that fish. So yeah, it is the biggest kind of stereotypes for intercultural people. Back to you, Jacopo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And we may proceed with Patricia, representative of IFET. I will not even try to say the whole name.
Well, so yes, thank you very much, and be very welcome to this first session that is going to lead Sweden. So should I start now with my presentation, and also with the...
Yeah, just introduce yourself, the main stereotype that you heard about Spaniards.
Okay. So, my name is Patricia. I'm from Spain, from Granada, and I am working for Implicit. I am project manager for them. and I think the biggest stereotype that you can listen about the Spaniard people is that we love party. And yes, like we are like a party people, very hard party people.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Julia, could you be next one, please?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Julia and I work with Patricia and Monica in IFEF2. And yes, I think people think about us that we are lazy and party people, especially in the south of Spain, and flamenco dancing. And I think we are a very open country because we live basically with tourists. And yeah, not all these words about Spain are true, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Dokan, would you be next one, please?
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Dokan, and I am 23 years old. I am studying at the Civil Aviation Department. And about stereotypes, I don't know. The Turkish has lots of stereotypes, I think, but the common one is we have lots of hospitality, I think, and also we are so protective and jealous, as I heard in the abroad. The people told me that. And about my city, I'm from Ankara, and lots of people say that the Ankara people are getting angry too much and too rapid, too fast. I think they say that.
Thank you very much. And maybe the main one, Turkish people smoke a lot. That's what we always say in Dokan.
But that's not stereotype, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, we can continue with Mustafa, please.
Hello, everyone. I am Mustafa. I am from North Macedonia, but for the moment I'm connected from Spain. And I will say about the country of Macedonia. Well, it has happened so sometimes, so thereby I'm saying this. When I say Macedonia, I'm from Macedonia, one reply that I've got often is, that's a place in Turkey, right? I don't know why that happened. Maybe since I've mentioned Spain, Macedonia together with Turkey, and that might have created confusion in people's mind, but has happened many times.
Thank you very much. And Hilal, dear, please.
Okay, hi everyone. I'm Hilal. I'm 24 years old and I'm from Germany. I'm studying international social work focused on migration and globalization. And one stereotype of German people is that they're always on time.
Thank you very much. And Nazli, could you be next one, please? Just please unmute your microphone. Okay.
I'm Nazlı Şener. I'm 35 years old. I am joining System and Generations programs for 5 years now.
And you are from?
I'm from Ankara.
Okay. What is, according to you, one common stereotype about Turkish people? That
About
maybe
Turkish.
Yeah.
I read that foreigners think Turkish people are hospital people.
Okay. Thank you very much. And we may now give the floor to Monica, please.
Jacopo, I think Monica now cannot speak. She wrote me that she has a problem with the microphone, so she will speak a bit later, but not for the moment. Sorry.
Okay. Then please, when she can, even during the session, just to
Okay.
see she can.
Okay, I will take it.
tell
Thank
us.
you.
Thank you. And Elena, can you be next one, please? Elena, can you hear us?
Maybe she's writing by the chat to some of you, to any of you, because yesterday she was not able neither to speak with the microphone, so she was using the chat. I don't know if it's writing to Esmeralda or to you.
Not yet.
No.
If not, you can come back later to her also.
Okay. Okay. No, I don't have also any message. Okay, then we proceed with Jan.
Hi, I am not camera at the moment. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Can and I am from Turkey, Ankara. I'm studying at Kırıkkale University in the Department of English Language Teaching. And one of the most well-known stereotypes about Turkish people is conservative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Turkish
you.
people not that conservative.
Okay. Clear. Thank you very much. And then we give the floor to Esmeralda.
Hello again. So I'm Esmeralda from Albania. I work at System Engineering Association and Mustafa, don't laugh. And also at the head of network of the Analin Foundation, Turkey. One stereotype, well, I would say there are some, but I would say two. One could be about being hospitable, but also that we are very much, that we are, I don't know, if I say clever, you would think that, like we are boosting, but no, in terms that we have facilities in learning foreign languages. And this is something to be spotted out. And living in Turkey, the thing that I hear mostly from Turkish people when they hear that I'm Albanian, it's about the fact that they know Albanians as they are stubborn. And I want to give a very short explanation why they yes, Dokan confirms. It actually it's something that came through the history due to since the Ottoman Empire that Albanians were the most difficult ones to be during the war and so on, to be that they faced mostly difficulty to make them go backwards, let's say, during the war. So at this sense, they, like in the good sense, that we are stubborn and determined in our goals and aims that we put in our minds, in our brain, and we do it. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, Mary. Mary, could you kindly introduce yourself and share one stereotype, that the main one that you heard about Albanians? Please. Mary, are you here with us?
I'm not sure if she can speak now.
Hi guys, do you hear me?
Okay.
Yes.
Please, Jacopo, may you repeat the question because I wasn't quite following you. I missed a part of it.
Yes, sure. So we are introducing each other, and so basically I would kindly ask you to introduce yourself and also share one stereotype related to your nationality, meaning like what is the main stereotype that you ever heard about Albanians?
Okay, actually, okay. Hello, everyone. Mer, connected from Tirana, Albania. And one of the stereotypes which really, let's say, bewildered me was back in 2015. At that time, actually, it wasn't the first time. It was like the third time I was traveling abroad. And it was in Turkey. I met a Romanian guy. And we were talking together about the stereotypes, you know, and such things that go on, you know, in Balkans, Europe. And he said that in Romania, the stereotype about Albanian men is that they are mafia, and about women is that they are all prostitutes. So this was really, really striking to me. You know, I was awed by that stereotype because I didn't know that, let's say, Romanians would see Albanian women as prostitutes. You know, so this was, let's say, their image for us. And funny enough, we in Albania, we also have a stereotype for Romanians, and especially or notably Romanian women, that they are prostitutes, you know. So yeah, that's all about the stereotype.
They took revenge.
Yeah. But I wouldn't call it quite a revenge, but you know, I don't know why both countries have, or let's say, share the same stereotype for their women. I don't know.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So I will also very briefly introduce myself. So my name is Jacopo. I come from Italy. Currently live and work in Ankara for system and generation. And about Italians, there are tons of stereotypes. There are really so many, which of course, in my opinion, some are true, but they are generalization. So it means you know, it's a stereotype. Yeah, there is in the culture, but of course it's a generalization. You cannot assume everyone has the same characteristics, let's say. But one that I heard from Nordic countries that maybe is not so well known, let's say, compared to others. So often in Nordic countries, I heard that there is this stereotype that Italian men are good partners in love, like that they are passionate, they are good lovers, and so on. And especially, as I say, when I was in Finland, in Sweden, and so on, especially there, I don't know, they think of Italians as very romantic, passionate men, and they are the best partners for a relationship. Okay, so thank you very much. We are perfect on time, and now we can give the floor to Esmeralda for the first part of this workshop that is about intercultural dialogue. So with Esmeralda, we will go deeper in how to define intercultural dialogue, why it's more and more important in the current transnational diverse societies, and how to foster it, okay, how to encourage it and increase it in society. So Esmeralda, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jacopo. I just want to voice one message that came privately to me about stereotypes for Italians. John said that he thinks, or he has heard, like, stereotypes that Italians play football very well, all Italians. But yeah, it's, I mean, if you say all, it's quite
yeah. No, but that's a fact, not a stereotype.
all Italians. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Facts are not stereotype. Yeah, sorry.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Jacopo. I will start sharing my screen. Just a second. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can, Esmeralda.
Yes.
Okay. Now? Can you see now?
Yes, but the presentation is still not full screen, it's just not full
Patricia,
screen.
like before we spoke together, you can see the presentation only.
Yes, we can continue. Yes, we can continue the presentation.
Okay, so yeah, this is okay. So as Jacopo mentioned in the intro, that this workshop is being organized in the frame of the virtual marathon for dialogue in Euromed. It's an initiative by the Annalyn Foundation that will take place for 42 days as a symbol of the 42 countries where Annalyn Foundation is based and has extended its network. The workshop, learning to the title, as you have seen in the description as well, it's learning together and introduction to intercultural dialogue, and especially we will give an overview of the challenges that are faced during the pandemic, but also to get the participant more understand the concept of intercultural dialogue and the other related concepts to intercultural dialogue. Probably most of you are familiar to the topic, to the concept, but I would like to give the definition of intercultural dialogue and how it's perceived, let's say. According to the Council of Europe, intercultural dialogue, it's referred to or is defined as an open and respectful exchange of views between individuals, groups who primarily belong to different culture, different backgrounds, but this interaction leads to a deeper understanding of others' global perception or world views. It is also considered or stated that intercultural dialogue guarantees a safe future for the society. It can also be claimed that intercultural dialogue enables people to be more and more aware and understand better their own culture, but also other cultures. So to this extent, the aim of intercultural dialogue in overall is to increase international and cross-national, cross-cultural, tolerance and understanding, further promote peace and tolerance and cooperation between people, irrespective of their background. It is worth mentioning that intercultural dialogue becomes more and more efficient and present, let's say, when people understand more the intercultural learning and interiorize, let's say, intercultural competencies, so that can enable them to practice intercultural dialogue in their daily life, in daily interactions with other people. But why is it important, and is so much widely spoken and emphasized, intercultural dialogue? It is important because it increases respect for cultural diversity, for human rights, freedom of people. So it is a fact now that we live in diverse societies, and in this context, let's say, to accept diversity as an asset rather than as a threat in our societies is it's already a step forward towards respecting human rights, people's freedom, etc. It is important because it develops a sense of community in multicultural populations. So, as I said previously, that the societies are diverse, but notwithstanding the composition of the communities where we live in, it is important to cooperate with others, coexist in harmony, be civically engaged, towards improving the community where we live in. It is further important because it promotes tolerance, pluralism, openness, and mutual respect. So it paves the way for more respect, tolerance among citizens of a given society, irrespective of their background, because they may live in the same society, but maybe they are not originally, let's say, from belonging to the same culture. It is important because also it enhances peace, harmony in a multicultural world. This can be understood that in terms of if we if we succeed to practice intercultural dialogue in small communities, let's say, it consequently represents a good premise for establishing a peace on a larger scale, like worldwide, let's say. It is further important to practice and to promote intercultural dialogue because it prevents or resolves conflicts between different groups who belong to different backgrounds, different cultures, or worldviews, or beliefs, or religions. But if people are aware of the intercultural dialogue and respect, and they have tolerance in their daily interactions, then the chances of conflict between people who belong different backgrounds are really low. Some of the ways to foster intercultural dialogue is someone who personally, as someone that works in the youth field, I would consider that youth as a central and urgent target of any initiatives that are being taken to spark conversations that can eventually lead into a dialogue across the Euro-Mediterranean region, but beyond it as well. In this sense, I believe that if we support youth in their efforts to build or strengthen inclusive or pluralistic societies, including in the time of crisis like the one that we are facing for over 1.5 years. So in this context, young people are the best actor to build these bridges in a way to foster mutual understanding, which is fundamental element in pluralistic societies. Another way to foster intercultural dialogue is advancing education on intercultural citizenship education, global citizenship, but also intercultural competencies, as I mentioned previously. If people interiorize these intercultural competencies and they are well aware of the importance of intercultural citizenship education in the process of intercultural dialogue, it gives paves the way to more respect for human rights, social justice, better interactions, religion interactions, and more tolerance. Another way, standing on the same concept, I would say that mainstreaming knowledge about other religions or belief systems could be also a mean of promoting intercultural dialogue, fostering it more, and also building or promoting more intercultural competencies for understanding and living in diversity, the societies that we live in. Another way, and the last one that I have listed, let's say, it would be advocating for youth involvement in promotion of tangible and intangible cultural heritage as an effective means to get people more familiar with their own culture and other cultures as well. Because we will discuss it, Jacopo will mention it a bit later, why it is important to have also knowledge about others' cultures, not only yours, because this can lead to other misunderstandings or other, let's say, situations that can put in danger the intercultural practicing intercultural dialogue in our societies. That would be from my side for now. Jacopo, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. If you can, okay, now I can share my slides. So yes, I would like to speak especially about the main challenges related to cultural diversity. How to make full screen. Can you help me maybe here? Okay. So yes, I would like to now speak briefly about some of the main challenges that are related to intercultural dialogue, because as we know, especially during the pandemic, there was a raise in terms of prejudices and episodes of discrimination, violence, and racism towards certain communities. Unfortunately, the pandemic created more tension towards people from different ethnicity and cultures. I was reading many reports, analysis, and statistics, and as it has to be expected, for example, in Europe, the main prejudices were against people with Asian roots. Even when, for example, I was reading the case of Belgium, especially. So even Belgian citizens who has origin Asian roots, but they are born in Belgium, raised in Belgium, but still they face many more episodes of discrimination and prejudices and closure towards them. But also, for example, in the case of Belgium, I've seen that after the Asian ethnicity, the Turkish ones were the main targeted as the scapegoat for the pandemic. Some social research showed this increase of stereotypes, as we say. So it's very important to understand a bit more which are the main challenges, how to possibly tackle or overcome or diminish them. First of all, the World Health Organization estimate that there are 1 billion migrants in the whole world. So it means that among us, among our communities, more than one each 8 citizens is a migrant. This is the highest number reached in the history of humankind. And it means that we live in a multicultural society. As of course, some countries has a higher level of migrants, some countries has a lower level, but in fact, it's undeniable that we live in the third millennium in a multicultural society. And that's why intercultural competencies are so important. Having a multicultural society can be seen as a value if diversity is encouraged, is seen as a value. In fact, for example, I found very interesting that in Australia, every 21st of March, they celebrate the Harmony Day to foster inclusion among the different ethnicities and cultures that lives in Australia, respect among each other, and mutual sense of belonging to the same country. So it's an initiative, let's say, but also if there is the need for this kind of initiatives, it means that there are also some difficulties, some challenges. That's why there is the need to celebrate the Harmony Day, most probably. Now, cultures can have a lot of stereotypes, prejudices, and discrimination. In fact, very, very often we know and understand very little about the cultures that are different from our own. Just maybe some of us who are more expert and so on, but generally we don't know so much about the other people's cultures and habits, the ones that are not the same as ours. And why is that? Because it's in the human psychology that it's easier to interpret behaviors based on our own assumptions and perceptions rather than on accurate knowledge and analysis. But these assumptions and perceptions that we may have on a different person, cultures, and ethnicity and habits can easily lead to inaccurate conclusions, misunderstanding, and until the point of reaching also possible conflicts. And as we see here, I put a picture, like culture is like an iceberg. So we just see very little, okay? We just see the top of it, but in fact, there is a very huge part that we do not understand from the cultures of people who belong to a culture that is different from ours. It's important to understand that each of us has his, her own culture. Each culture is valid to its member. So it's very difficult, let's say, to find culture members that comes from a specific culture who devalidate their own culture. So each culture is valid for its own members. I would like to underline this. It's important to remember that cultures are dynamic and they are always evolving. So it's not something fixed that stay over the time with fixed features, but it's something that is always evolving. Cultures have very high internal diversity. This is also something, you know, when we tend to generalize too much, we should remember that even cultures have very high internal diversity. For example, I was once I was watching an episode of a TV show, and they were speaking about an aspect related to religion, to the Muslims. Okay, so there was a discussion, and at some point, you know, some of the speakers, the panelists in this TV show were saying like, Muslim do like this, Muslims are like that, and so on. And at some point, someone intervened and say, you know, you speak about Muslims as if they are a unique community, let's say, but in fact, Muslims are 1.5 billions in the world, and they live in very different contexts. And so you cannot assume, you know, that they are an homogeneous group, because the Muslims living in Pakistan are different from the one living in Indonesia, are different from the one living in Turkey, and so on. So even culture has its own, now this is a religious aspect, you know, but we cannot assume also that cultures are homogeneous. They have very much high internal diversity. And culture are very complex to understand. So let's remember that the culture in which we were born, that is the most valid for us, is just one model of reality among many others. Now, what is the unconscious bias? So the unconscious bias is the attitudes or stereotypes that affect our understanding, our actions, and decisions in often an unconscious manner. So our brain, again, this is part of our human psychology, our brain can make incredibly quick judgments towards the others and others' cultures, and influence, therefore, like according to our judgments, assumptions, influence our decisions and actions towards people or situation with our conscious awareness. Here I put a couple of photos. The one on the right that you see, you know, there is a lady in a swimsuit saying everything covered but her eyes. What a cruel male-dominated culture. And the lady in burqa say nothing covered but her eyes. What a cruel male-dominated culture. Okay, this is also something that I experienced myself. It was kind of mind-blowing for me, because I remember, you know, growing up in Italy, let's say, you know, we tend often to see, a person with burqa or hijab, as a person who is more male-dominated, let's say, so it's more suppressed and so on. But I remember once speaking with a friend of mine wearing hijab, and she was telling me, you always think like that, but if you see from our side, you can also try to understand that for us, we are not the one to pity. On the contrary, we think that your way is not the most valid one, let's say. We see things in a very different way. We had, a very long discussion now. But it was also for me important at some point to understand, we always think that our way maybe is the best, but maybe it's not for everyone like that. And okay, let me proceed. Okay, now let's go into stereotype. It's our, let's say, first step. So the stereotype is a rigid categorization of a particular group as having the same characteristics. It can be a positive stereotype, as we have said many before, a neutral, or it can be hostile towards a group. So it's a belief over a certain category of people, and it's quite similar to generalization. Let's see what is generalization. So generalization is a proposition about the tendency of a majority of people in a cultural group to hold certain values and beliefs and to engage in certain pattern of behaviors. In a more, in a easier way, let's say, is a statement based on a finite set of observation and experiences which claims to hold true for a large set of members. Okay, so we generalize based on our limited experiences and limited knowledge. We generalize and we assume that all the people fixed in a certain category, which can be nationality, ethnicity, religion, gender, whatsoever, have the same characteristics. So as you see in the picture, what is a stereotype? There is a hand and say it's something they put on a person so you can hate them without having to get them to know first, in the case of hostile stereotype. Now, as Esmeralda was explaining us, so the intercultural competence instead is the ability to interact, to communicate, and to relate effectively and appropriately in a variety of cultural contexts. Okay, so this ability to understand the cultural features of our society and to interact accordingly. And it's a very essential skills in the 21st centuries because, as we say, we are living in multicultural society. So it's something that I don't know. I often, when I see, for example, people who complain about having their kids with some migrants in their class, and they say, they are more, migrants than autochthonous. For me, it's something a bit absurd nowadays because I mean, in the 21st century, either you accept or not, we have a multicultural society. It's not much of a choice in my point of view. So you can either accept and value, or you cannot accept, but it won't change. Migrations will happen anyway, especially in the 21st century in the globalized area. And so there is an unknown quote which says, to foster intercultural competencies, become friends with people who aren't your age, hang out with people whose first language isn't the same as yours, get to know someone who doesn't come from your social class. This is how you see the world, and this is how you grow. Okay, the moment where you can really start to appreciate and to value diversity. Now, stereotypes, as we say, are some oversimplified views on some categories of people based on race, ethnicity, age, gender, sexual orientation, and any kind of characteristics can become a stereotype. What happened when, stereotypes are kind of some assumptions, but then they can shape our prejudices, which is something a bit different, because they shape the beliefs, the thoughts, the feelings and attitudes that someone holds about a group. Okay, so it means, for example, one participant, I think Julia before mentioned a stereotype related to Spaniards is that they are late, they are late and so on. So my prejudice, if I have this stereotype in my mind, my prejudice can be that they are not reliable person. I will think, okay, Spaniards, they are always late. so I have a Spanish person, so I think, this person is not reliable person. This is my prejudice. I don't even know the person maybe, and I have this prejudice in my mind. And the discrimination can be that I act according to the prejudice. So for example, I don't know, we hire a volunteer in our association. I don't hire someone from Spain because I have the prejudice that they are not reliable person, okay? So this for you to understand a bit more, from stereotype to a prejudice to a discriminatory act, okay? And a prejudice is not based on experience, and so this is also important to underline, is not based on experience, a prejudice, and when negative can lead to discrimination, okay? While prejudice refers to thinking sphere, say to our cognitive sphere, discrimination consists of non-justified actions against a group of people. So we tend to put people into box and to act accordingly. Okay, that's why the photo. Now I have a question for you. I would like to tell you. There is a photo here, as you see. It's illegal to sell alcoholic products to anyone under the age of 18. So do you think, is this one a discrimination? Because here I'm taking a category of people under 18, and as a ruler of my country, I decide that people under 18 cannot drink alcoholics. Is it a discrimination against them? Maybe there is someone who is 17 who would like to drink alcohol, who would like to drink a beer whatsoever, but cannot due to my decision. Is this person discriminated? Yes, no, why?
Can I say something?
Please, Dokan.
I don't think so. Because I mean, this age is not just somebody said it. It's coming from some scientist, and it means that your age is not enough to fight with the, how can I say, like fight against the drinking in your body.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's for you, not against you. I think it's not discrimination.
Okay, in fact, we cannot define this as a discriminatory act. Why is that? Because there is a justification. You see, so discrimination consists of non-justified actions. But in this case, as we know, that is very harmful for teenagers, for their developments of their brain to drink alcohol. So there is an act that forbids to sell alcohol to youth, okay, underage. So there is something behind that justify this action, this act. So not everything, I mean, is an act of discrimination when we exclude certain categories from certain actions and so on. So this is one case, for example. There are also cases of positive discriminations and so on. So just for you to understand, discrimination is something that is not based on any, is not justified in any reason, okay? As I was saying before, for me, I have some prejudices, so I decide not to hire people from a certain ethnicity, from a certain religion, from a certain nationalities, okay? So there is not just something that really justify my action. So that's an episode of discrimination. Okay, there are three main expressions of prejudices that lead to discrimination, which are xenophobia. So xenophobia is the fear of what is perceived as foreign or strange. And as we were saying before, it raised a lot, xenophobia, in our society during the pandemic. I think all of us who are migrants knows this very well. It's an expression of perceived conflict between an in-group and an out-group, and suspicious about the other group activities. So again, there is us and them, okay? And the desire to eliminate their presence, not necessarily by killing, but the desire that they will not stay here, they will go back to their home or whatsoever. Fear of losing national, ethnical, or racial identity. Then there is ethnocentrism, which is rather similar but slightly different as well. So it's the belief that your own ethnicity or culture is superior to all the others, as I was mentioning the case before. You know, we assume that, I don't know, our Western culture, it's very, ethnocentricity is quite commonly spread in our Western world. Okay, we think, you know, the way we live, our values, our culture are somehow the superior ones, and the one from Middle East, Asia, Africa, and so on, they are all kind of a bit of inferior. So it's this belief, you know, that our culture is the top, the highest quality one, and the others are just you know, subcultures that something wrong, let's say, with them. So it's again a quite arrogant position, let's say, when not justified by any arguments, let's say. Because I also think, you know, in some case maybe you can accept that there are some cases where a culture is more developed and so on, but there should be some argument, some justification for it, not just, you know, in general assuming that your culture is the best one just because it's valid for you. Racism is the belief that groups of humans possess different behavioral traits corresponding to their physical appearance and can be divided based on the superiority of one race over another. You know, so racism is like based on the physical appearance of people, and thinking that you believe you belong to a certain race, so your race is superior to the other. So you're acting in a racist way towards the ones that do not belong to your the same ethnicity as yours. These are the case of explicit racism. So this happened in Tennessee, where there was one local congressman that was, you know, appointed for as a politician, and this is a form of explicit racism because the main slogan was "Make America White Again." Okay, so as we can see, it's a very explicit message that the white ethnicity is in somehow the one that to whom America, United States of America, belong, and it should become, you know, America should be white again. Okay, this is an explicit form of racist propaganda. And there are instead some implicit form of racism as well that are very dangerous. So these are negative behavior towards specific cultural groups that can be very unconscious sometimes. For example, police pulling drivers over due to the color of their skin. I've read many times, you know, in the US, the Afro-American people are much more stopped by police, or people mistrusting those who have a different physical aspect. Okay, so you see someone, I don't know, as a different skin color, a different, or maybe you understand by the way he or she is dressed that is from a different religion, so you mistrust. So it's a implicit form of racism. Judges who are more likely to reach guilty verdict towards suspects who have a particular skin color. Or another example is to dismiss job applicants based on foreign sounding names. So even this, I saw many, if you check in YouTube or in the internet, many social experiment, you know, when sending CV, if your name, surname was, you know, linking to belonging to a certain nationality and so on, there were much less chances that you will be hired. But just based on so not based on your CV competencies and so on, but based on the way, you know, your foreign sounding name, let's say. There were some form of dismission from a job application. The photo that I show here is the case that happened in Philadelphia. Is the case of implicit racism. So what happened is, maybe you know, it was a quite famous episode in 2018 in Philadelphia. In a Starbucks, there were two Afro-American guys sitting and waiting for some friends. And the owner was a lady, and she asked like, what did they want to order and so on. And they said they will wait for their friends before ordering. So they were sitting and waiting for their friends and then ordering a cafe whatsoever. The lady, the manager, didn't trust these guys that were sitting there and called the police. The police came and arrested the two men with no charges at all. They were not doing anything, you know, anything that they could be charged for. They just came and arrested based on the suspicious. And many customers protested against this. There is the video on YouTube that many customers were saying, why are you arresting them? They were just sitting there. They did nothing, just sitting and chatting, waiting for their friends. Why are they arrested for? But nevertheless, the police arrest them. And then there was this chaos, and the woman defended herself. She says she's not racist. That she didn't like to mute someone, one moment. Okay. And so on. So this was a case of implicit racism, because you know, because they were Afro-American, and somehow they were suspicious at the eyes of the lady. And then Starbucks, the company, took distance from this action, and after 1 month, the 29th of May 2018, after this incident, they closed for 4 hours on the 29th of May 2018, over 8,000 stores all over the United States to conduct a training aimed at reducing implicit racism among their workers. Okay, so for 4 hours, 29th of May 2018, Starbucks were closed all over the United States. They were having a training on implicit racism. Okay, so that's all from my side. Now we would like to go into an interactive discussion for the next 15-20 minutes, and we have 3 main questions that we would like to discuss with you all together. So the first one is about cultural relativism. Do you think, so we spoke about ethnocentrism, again, the assumptions that your culture is the best one, is the most valid one, is superior one. On the other side, we have cultural relativism. The pure cultural relativism believes that no culture is superior or inferior, but each culture is legitimate for their people, for their context, and for their people. But I would like to ask you, do you think that cultural relativism is absolute, or there are certain limits? It's a very huge debate. But for example, I can tell you, in some communities, 14 years old young ladies are getting married with the cousins, for example. Okay, there are certain communities where marriage are made in very, very young age, 14 years old, 15 years old, with family-related members. So shall we say, okay, this is their culture, so it's legitimate, or there is something here that is, we can say, no, here cultural relativism has its own limit. This is not correct for some reason. Or, as you know, in some tribes, in some tribes, it's very common to cut the genitals of the baby girl, because it's believed that they will have less sexual desire in the future by cutting part of the genitals. So they will be modest, and they will be more pure, and they will know how to behave more appropriately. So is this also a legitimate cultural aspect that we should respect? Or again, there is something here we should say, no, I think this is wrong. Why? So again, is absolute, or there are limits to cultural relativism? I will ask to you if we can discuss 5-6 minutes, and then we go to the next question.
Well, Jacopo, if I can start.
Please.
There is noise suddenly in my home. Well, so after the example that you were giving to us, I think it's obviously that we cannot support every little aspect of every culture, just because there are something that is over all of the cultures, and is the human rights. And the human rights, in my opinion, should be applied to every culture, because if all the countries agree with them, is for any reason. If almost all the countries agree with them, is for any reason. So all the details from every country, a culture, that might avoid any human right, or to implies any kind of disrespect, or any kind of submission or dominant hierarchy of one of the genders above the other one, in my opinion, should be completely avoided, and we have to try to re-educate the people in these aspects. Not saying that any culture is better than another one, just saying that the little details we have to try to make them better for all the people in general.
You know, Patri, I personally, I agree very much with what you say, but something, you know, I remember when I was studying sociology and so on, when you, for example, if you bring human rights, okay, you say we want to spread human rights in other countries, cultures that are not the Western ones, there is an accusation of ethnocentrism, because some people will say you try to bring to us your vision of what are human rights, because human rights can be also very much debatable in somehow. You know, there are 30 main human rights. For example, there is the human rights to family, which is a heterosexual family. You know, if you read the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, so even human rights, they have some lack, I would say. But also there is this accusation, you know, when we try, let's say, to export human rights, they say, okay, you are trying to export your Western point of view in our society, you know, because even the concept of equality among genders is seen in certain communities, in certain cultures, as a Western principle that is not necessarily, is not universal, let's say. So it's my little provocation, let's say, to you. I want to say, you know, because again, I want to underline. I totally agree with what you say, but when we say, you know, everything that is about dominance, hierarchy, and so on, even there, it will not be so easy to educate certain people from certain communities, from certain cultures. But do we have the right to educate, or are we overstepping, let's say, their freedom to decide themselves how to rule themselves?
Well, now also we can ask if the people that we are trying to re-educate, where are they located, and if they are trying to join to the globalization, if their governments are supporting the globalization, and if these people are willing to leave their countries because any kind of reasons. So if that happens, and if there is a common view, sorry, there is a flight. I'm getting this. Okay, so if the people are, yes, if the people that are living from those in those countries are willing to change or move to other countries in order to check, to looking for better conditions, or the governments are trying to improve the situation in their countries and they are accepting some kind of help for other countries, in my opinion, they have also to understand that what is the common flow, and it is not trying to re-educate or trying to change it completely their culture. Of course, if we cannot apply for every country the same things, and we don't have to change everything for every country. It's just to, I am not sure exactly how can I explain. It's like to make it smoother some details that their cultures are not supported by anything. I mean, no human rights, no neither scientific evidence. There is no. What is the point to, as you were saying, to make the mutilation to little babies? I mean, I don't really understand this thing. So, and also, which is the point to buy your daughter as a mercancy in order to get some money to be able to survive for 20 or 25 years more. So these kind of things, we have to re-educate them, not in every aspect, but in the very, very problematic ones that I guess, yes. I don't agree neither with our, as you were saying, our Western vision, to try to spread our Western vision to all around the world. Just because, as you said, there are also some peculiarities that we that every country would like to preserve. But one thing is the normal common sense that I guess in almost all the countries we have, because we can see also inside of this culture that not all the women they agree with this practice. And this is also a very important thing. When people inside of those countries are starting to reject these practices, is because something is not getting accepted by the 100% of the population. It's just it's just been accepted by the more powerful people in this population, and they are forcing the other ones to continue doing it for any kind of reason. So I think it's not very hard to find people that is rebelling their service about the system. And at the moment that this thing is started to happen, we have to be there to support these people to change their lives and their societies if it's a thing that they really want to do. Not to force no one, but just to help them if they already try to start the change. That I think in almost all the countries they start, in my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Patri. Thanks a lot for your input. I will go with the next. So sorry, it's something that we could debate, we could discuss all night long, but we have some time restriction.
Jacob, we just need to add just one point in that, and
Yes.
that is that it is mostly about culture, and like in the culture, it is about public opinion. Because if there is a practice that is made for thousands of years or hundreds of years, for example, you gave an example of marriage with cousins. It is not common at all in Europe, but in many Asian cultures, it is very common and it has been done for centuries. So if a country like in Asia, for example, having 150,000 million people or 200 million people, and they are okay with the public opinion, their public opinion is fine, they are okay with that. So the governments, the policies will go with them rather going with against the, like, no matter it is going against human rights or like the culture norms or other cultures. So a lot of limitations cannot be put just because there is a big public opinion in support of that. So just to add this point.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Crystal clear. Thanks a lot. Okay, now we can go with the next one. I would like to ask you, we would like to ask you, have you ever witnessed any explicit or implicit episode of racism? If we can have 2 or 3 contribution. This is from the Family Guy. Is a family. The picture that you see is a famous sitcom, and they were very much, making irony, let's say, okay, on the way often police officers act in the US, as we were saying before, and also, in fact, research shows that if you're Afro-American, there are much more chances that police will stop you, to pull over, to check on you, check your documents, and so on. Again, have you ever, even, so this will be even implicit, if you see someone that is Afro-American, there can be some implicit thoughts in your mind, some implicit prejudices that think, they might have something, they might be in somehow dangerous, or some, I don't know, maybe they're not in line with the law, and so on. Have you ever witnessed any episode, explicit or implicit, based on racism? And if yes, would you like to share?
Okay, I can share 2. One of them was in Paris, and I went there to visit Eiffel Tower. And I saw that there's a security guard and checking everybody just by looking. And then it was our cue to check, and he didn't check us, just looking. And he checked us by touching and searching our body fully. And I just asking that, why you are just looking everybody and searching my body. And he told me that, okay, we can just guessing who is can be, how can I say, you're looking. He mean that, yeah, I look like, I mean, the Muslim and the Turkish, it's so easy to understand. So I feel very bad on that time, because the other ones belong that they have the white skin color, and I'm the burned one and with beard, and they searched me, and it was very bad for me. I feel bad because I know that, oh my god, my nationality is so bad, I mean that bad. And the second one was in the Greece, in the Athens, and I was so young. I was like 15 or 16 years old. I went there, a project with Student Generation, and in the Athens metro, I I was with one Greek friend, and we were talking about Istanbul. And I said Istanbul. I called Istanbul, and she called Constantinople, because in Greek it's Constantinople and it's totally normal. But in the metro, the elder people heard that I said Istanbul, and they totally understand I am from Turkey, and they speak and they shout. Didn't understand. I was so scared really because I was so young. I didn't say nothing, and my friend protect me, say that no need to do that. We are so young. This is politic and war stuff, and I felt very bad on that times. Well,
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wants to share? If not,
I
also,
can share. If there
please.
is no one else.
Please.
Well, I faced once in Turkey when I went to the hospital, which actually was a bit awkward. I still don't understand. Didn't get why that attitude was performed, let's say, towards me. So I had to go to the hospital. It was kind of emergency, let's say, and before the pandemic, so it was 2019. And I have the health insurance valid and the private health insurance actually. They didn't let me see the doctor. And even though the doctor was there, I initially went and I was speaking in English, and so they thought that I didn't know Turkish, and they were speaking among them in Turkish, saying that one colleague saying to the other, tell her that the doctor is not here, but the doctor was there. And I didn't understand why this was, because I showed my health insurance, and I also offered them to pay, but I needed to see the doctor. So what's the problem? If you don't accept the health insurance, just I'm telling you, I will pay for the service. Just let me see the doctor. And they didn't let me. I had to go to another hospital, but really it was very frustrating for me. And I didn't understand why was that, because at the end of the day, private hospitals are kind of businesses. So anyways, they were going to get paid for the service. So I didn't understand why was that attitude, because it was obvious that was just because I was foreigner, and because thinking that I didn't know Turkey. So why they had to say among each other that tell that the doctor is not here while the doctor was there? So that means that there was something going on. It was not just a normal attitude, let's say, that would have been done to some Turkish, like in this sense. So this I wanted to share only.
Thank you. Thank you very much to Dokan and Esmeralda for sharing. And we can go to the last point because we have 2-3 minutes more. So the last one is how pandemic has worsened prejudices towards migrants, in your opinion. In this case, also, if you want to share a bit more on theoretical based, or if you know any episodes, like how do you think that pandemic, unfortunately, let's say, contributed in fueling prejudices and discriminatory episodes towards migrants? And as I was saying at the beginning, like I think we have all seen, those of us who maybe are migrants at the moment have seen this. I'm Italian living in Turkey, and I was always so very warmly welcome. But from the Turkish civil society, everywhere I was going, people were so happy. But I remember at the beginning of the pandemic, now it faded a bit. But at the beginning of the pandemic, the fact that I was not speaking Turkish, I remember it really creates some barriers. I remember some people were really kind of feared, when I was going even at the supermarket or whatsoever. Especially Italy was a highly infected country, was one of the top in the world. So really, there was this this barrier towards me. I remember at some point it totally changed, the perception that people were having towards me when I was saying I'm Italian, and me as other volunteers from Italy, we had to say, actually we have been living in Turkey since before the starting of the pandemic. So it's totally understandable, when there were some fear. It's completely, I completely understood. But at the same time, for what I've experienced, for what I read about many social research, in many cases, really some communities were really appointed as the scapegoat, the one to blame for the pandemic. And of course, the Asian ones were the one who experienced the worst. So I guess to be Asian living in some country, like foreigner country, at the beginning of the pandemic was not easy at all. So is there anyone who would maybe one person who would like to share how think that pandemic has worsened a bit some prejudices towards the migrants and some discrimination towards the migrants? And if yes, which community were most targeted?
Actually, Jacopo, if I may, just to couple of lines of what you said, and actually it's related to again to Italians. When it started, like intensified last year in March, I was actually doing some kind of social experiments with Turkish people, saying Patricia also was part of it, with Patricia and another girl that we were living together. And I was saying when we were going out to shops, I was saying that they just came from Italy, and the reaction of people was really unbelievable. Like we were having, if at the moment we were having fun making jokes, oh they are foreigners, how are Turkish people with foreigners, and then at the moment I was saying they just came from Italy, it was like total opposite, the other extreme, their behavior towards Patricia and the other girl. Like they were keeping distance, and they were, oh, so you are infected, you are from this place. With, I mean, you could see the distance and the discrimination that they were putting in place right after.
That's my point, that's my point. So it's like, despite the fact that the pandemic was worldwide spread, I mean, it's totally a global pandemic that, I mean, that's why, it's understandable, the fear, but on the other side, it was very unfair thinking that just people from certain nationalities could be infected or could be in somehow more harmful, dangerous, more, I mean, in the end, again, even when I was saying, look, I've been living in Turkey for 1 year already, so I was already here when it started, and so, but still there was, this prejudice because I'm Italian. So again, I would say this is something worldwide. I was here when it started. I have the same, chances as you have to have got the COVID, but it was a bit.
And it's the same for Asians. I have witnessed this when I was traveling by bus, and there were two. I don't know where they were from, could be from China or I don't know, but from Asia. They were sitting at the seats on the back of the bus, and I remember two passengers entered, and they were heading at the end of the bus. But when they saw that there were two Asians there, they moved back. It was obvious. I mean, why they moved back. So it's a bit, yeah.
Also, it was quite, I read, as I was saying at the beginning, I was reading some research, and also the ones who have Asian roots, that are living. So I was reading for Belgium, so those who were born in Belgium but with some Asian roots were very much targeted as well, so they are not even originally from China or whichever Asian country, but nevertheless, just because of the trait, were very much targeted, and they were discriminated, and there were also in Belgium, there were many episodes of violence related to the pandemic, the I don't know how to call it, related to the discrimination raised from the pandemic. Is there maybe someone last who would like to share? If not, we may close.
I would just add on, and that is that if we see the situation of migrants and refugees, especially from Asian and African side, in the countries like Macedonia, Greece, and Bulgaria, for example, there is not clarity about vaccinations till now. There is no documentation or what will happen with those who are without documents or who are stateless or who don't have any registration in the country. So it is a very big question about the refugees, immigrants, undocumented people in different parts of the world, especially in Europe, that what will be the future of them when it is time for vaccination, and how will they be cured, and if they are traveling or moving forward, or if they are going to their desired destinations, how they will be treated at that time. So it is a very, very unclear situation, especially for undocumented people, refugees, and stateless people.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Asif. Okay, so I guess that's all. We can close this workshop. So thank you very much to all the participants, and thank you very much to Center for Capacity Building and Empowerment for hosting us from Sweden, and IFET and System and Generation for supporting. I hope we all enjoyed, we all learned something new, and have a very nice evening. See you next time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.